I think that the main thing was that I had no choice, and I can always remember laying in hospital, Prince of Wales, and saying to my missus, I don't know what I'm going to do now, because golf was my life.
I'm Alex McKinnon, this is Transitions. Today I spoke with Jack Newton. He is an Australian golfing legend. Jack won multiple tournaments around the world and was once the runner-up at the Masters. Like myself, Jack's career finished with a life-changing injury, though he didn't let that stop him succeeding in his post-career. Obviously your injury wasn't as straightforward as just simply losing your arm.
No. First of all, I got whacked through the eye. I've got no right eye. And my arm was so severed that they had to take it off. And the one that hit me across the stomach caused all sorts of internal ruptions. But when I got myself going, I used to go to a gym with a guy called Jeff Noble. You probably know him. I have some people come up to me, 100 kilos plus, and say, "Oh, you've got a bit of a gut going there, Jack." I said, "Well, I've got no stomach muscles. What's your excuse?" You know? But I thought, well, that's what it's all about, you know, and I've just got to brace it and get on with it. And
jump in.
And I think you've got two choices. You can go and sit in the corner and sulk for the rest of your life, or you can get on with it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I can distinctly remember the time that I made my decision and said, it's just time to move on. Let's make the most of it. You're alive. You want to be alive. Let's move on.
And if you have to ask someone for help,
mate,
a lot of people will give you the help you want.
Yeah, for sure. You said the Masters is coming up. And the golf season's definitely underway. Do you ever look back at the game and go, gee, I wish I could still play? Or I know myself when I watch, I definitely still critique and want to be a part of it, but I suppose I still do sit back and I'm grateful that I got to play. Yeah. How do you view when you watch golf?
Look, I think that what you just said is pretty much the way I feel. I mean, I think, I had 14 good years, good success in Europe. Then I went to America. I won a tournament in America at the Buick, ran second to Seve Ballesteros in the Masters. And I thought, this guy's going to be a hell of a player because he had a short game that was incredible. Funny enough, the Masters that I ran second in, I played with him in the last round. The back nine, I went from 9 behind. I cut him down to 2, hitting off the 14th. And when he was a young guy, in various different ways. He taught me how to swear in Spanish. And so he was letting go with a lot of the Spanish swear words that I'd heard from him before. And so I knew he was rattled. And then on the 14th, he hooked it into these pine trees. And normally in pine trees, the ball just goes straight to the ground. And he would have been dead where he was.
Yeah.
But anyway, it hit the pine tree and went left, and it went out towards the 15th. And then he had hit this shot up over the top of these massive pines on a very difficult green. And he got it just off the back edge and chipped it down like that and made par. And I thought, my chance might have slipped there. And anyway, the next hole, the par 5, we both hit it on the green in 2. Yeah. And I thought, if I could make this, I think I could beat him. And anyway, I hit the lip and it went 6 feet past, and I missed it coming back, and he two-putted, and that was the end of the section.
I've heard many stories about the Jack Newton Classic from different friends and people that have attended it. Can you tell me about the purpose of that event?
The whole objective along the line was that we raised money for junior golf and diabetes. I eventually got diabetes in the 90s. I've got it under control, so I've got a good endocrinologist and she's got me on the right track. And so I think they're two very good causes, and I've kept it at just 2 because I think if you get too deep, then it sort of scales down what you can do for something like diabetes.
And the effect that you can have, I suppose.
Yeah.
If you could give some advice to any athlete, not just golfer today, that's maybe in the midst of their career, what advice would you give them?
Well, I kind of think that sometimes, initially when you're young, you think, oh, this is a doddle, and I'll just cruise along. But the problem with cruising along is when you get to a certain point, cruising along is not going to be good enough. I'm a big firm believer in you have to put in. I mean, you know, I was known for having a few beers and what have you, but I would practice until dark after I played. If there was something that I didn't like about the game, my game that day, yeah, I think there is a lot to be said for getting on with it.